All right. So we're here, and this one I did not choose. This one came as a surprise to me,
Yeah, it came
Adrian.
from me. I have ideas.
Yeah, yeah. So why don't you take it away? Because I don't even know what we're doing here.
Dude, I mean, I just thought it would be interesting to have a conversation between two people who are on two opposite ends of fatherhood. Like me being like someone who is preparing for it,
Mhm,
and you being someone who I would say is like well past the beginning of it. Like you're well past the beginning of it, I feel like.
mhm,
So I think that's just an interesting dynamic because I've thought about it, but only like logically. Like I've thought about it from like a financial perspective and things
mhm.
like that, but I'm not the type of person where like I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to like have my child. I'm like I for me like that moment won't happen until they get here.
Yeah,
So like it has to be like a physical, tangible thing for me. It's hard for me to get excited about something I don't have yet.
yeah. No, I
So
understand.
and just that and like being older, like I'm 35, I'll be 36 this year. So that's kind of I think that's the biggest thing that's weighing on me is like, damn, dude, I'm like 36.
Mhm,
I'm just now having a kid. So to me I like I'm hell bent like I go to the gym a bunch more now and like all this stuff because I'm like I have to stay in shape. I have to stay healthy longer because I'm having a child later in life. So it's it's only ever been thought of from like a logical perspective for me and I haven't really thought about how much it's going to change my life and like how decisions will then be different because I'm such an independent person and like a kind of a not do whatever, but like I like my space and I like to,
mhm.
have options. And those will become greatly narrowed down for quite a while. Um,
Yeah, they will.
I gotta tell you, bud,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. I guess
I
I'm
mean, I
not
feel
going.
like there's a period of time that I didn't see you for like 3, 4 years.
Yeah, because well, I think that, I don't know if my advice is going to be good advice or what I say is going to be good advice to adhere to, but I'm gonna shoot you straight. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. So you did good with that part of it. Like, I'm gonna be straightforward with you, but yeah, you don't, I mean, everything changes. And for people who don't have kids, they can grasp the concept and they can get it, but like until you're in it, you don't really understand. And even when you're in it, you really don't understand. It's just a learning process. And like, I mean, what I tell everybody is that like is a potential parent, or whatever the case is like you're going to fail for the rest of your life. You're never going to do good enough.
Yeah, it's true.
It's that easy. Like, it's that simple. Like, you need to keep them alive, and then the rest of the time you're going to feel like a failure and it's not good enough. And you know and the way it changes your life is it like it comes crashing down. And then like it in the first part, like you no longer matter. Like, skateboarding doesn't fucking matter, Adrian doesn't fucking matter, nothing matters. Only thing that matters is this child, and making sure that it's okay, making sure that it's safe, making sure that it's going to grow up being loved. So if you still have that selfishness of like, well, I want to go here and I want to do this and I don't feel like that shit all goes out the window. And it's a lot easier to take when it's actually happening. Like right now you're probably going, oh fuck, I don't want any of that. But like when something changes, when you put it in your, when you put the kid in your arm and you go, shit, I did that, this is part of me, like those things won't seem so important.
Yeah.
It will put everything into perspective.
And I guess that's the part that's hard for me is like I'm such a logical person
Mm-hmm,
that I'm just like how and so for me like that just leads me to believe that like I'm gonna bawl like a baby myself because I'm not gonna be ready for the rush of emotion that's gonna happen.
mm-hmm,
Because for so long I've just been like, yeah, I know, like that'll happen when it happens. And I
mm-hmm,
haven't like there's no emotional connection to it. So for that to go from like literally off to completely on, like overwhelmingly on, I
mm-hmm.
think that's gonna be a lot for me. And like you're saying, this crashing down of like or deconstructing rather of my life and what
Yeah.
it is now and what it means now and what's important.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be a hell of a transition for me.
Well, I do think that with sobriety, it's kind of prepared you for it a little bit with like the solitude aspect, because me and you, we both share things in common as far as hobbies being something that we do in our house. Our hobbies are in our house. We watch skate videos. I make videos. You do photography. So there's a lot of editing. You work at your house some of the times if you want to. Um, so that part is good because those are things that you can do while having the child. But you got to remember that having an infant is boring. It is so boring. They do nothing. Like they just lay there and they wiggle. And they're cute as shit. And you'll be completely satisfied just looking at it, going, holy fuck. And then like you start thinking like everything, they know nothing. Like they don't understand what their hands are, they don't understand what the TV is, they don't. And like you get excited at the idea that I get to teach them all this stuff, but at first they are boring. And like it so like working on videos and editing photographs and stuff, that's going to be your mental, that's going to be your sanctuary, because you're going to be able to relieve stress, focus on something that you want to do, like that will become your thing. And you can have it in a little rocker next to you, and it can sleep while you work, and everything is okay, the situation is okay, the baby's right here, all those things. But as it gets, when your child gets older, then you can kind of start to, like, the biggest thing that I've learned so far is like a patience. And because every anybody who watches this video that knows me knows I'm a fucking asshole and I have zero patience. You can't do that. Like
Yeah.
that part of you has to go, like the anger, all that stuff. And I'm guilty of it. I do my best to not download my traumas on my child, but like I really had to work at anger. um like when you're talking to somebody and they're just not grasping a very simple concept,
Yeah, it's gonna
and
be
you
rough.
get yeah and like you got to remember that child doesn't understand those things. So like when you're trying to explain like 2 plus 2 is 4, and they write down 5, and you're like, how the fuck do you not like like it just, you gotta, like, it will put you in check, it will put you as a person in check, and show you really in reality what you're made of, because you could fly off the rails, but then you're damaging your child. And anger is a learned behavior. I learned my anger from my dad, because 2 plus 2 was 4, and if I didn't fucking get it, he was
Yes.
screaming and yelling. And like we've had conversations about that, and we're past that, but like you don't want to do that to your kid. So it will show you what you're made of. to stop and break those cycles of those things. And then, it's I don't know. And it's the greatest adventure that you can have in life because it's never ending, and you learn so much as you teach them, they teach you. And I know that's like, tropey or whatever, but it is true. Like, I've learned patience. I've learned like letting the other person speak and not just assume, like, you learn so many different things, and you can come at it, like you said, logically, like, okay, we're in a place where we can afford one, and I'm getting older, so now would be the time, and this and that. And it's like, all those factors don't mean shit. I used to be the same
Still
way.
not. Yeah.
8 years ago, I was like, we're not financially stable for this. We're both emotional wrecks. This is toxic. Like, all these things, all these reasons not to. But that none of that really comes into play because you can lose your job. The relationship can become unstable. So, like, if you're counting on those things, then it's never going to happen. You just got to jump in the deep end and just, I mean, you bought the ticket, take the ride, basically.
And luckily we are good at that. Like if there's one thing we've always been good at, it's adapting, and we've talked about that in the past. And for me, it's like a Rubik's cube of thoughts when I try to think about it.
Yeah.
And like there's just so many ways you could look at it. There's so many angles you could come at it at. And then there is the angle there of being like, well, none of this is gonna matter the second I start like actively being a father.
Mhm.
And like maybe like some of it will here and there, but
Right.
like it's mostly gonna be the mistakes you make along the way that are gonna kind of inform later on. Like just like anything else, you're gonna get better at it as time goes on.
Mhm.
And for us, like we've always held like the loyalty to friends and family in very high regard. So I think I'm not worried about that there. Like the kid will always be fine, you
Mhm.
know. Like, will I always be fine? Like, son of a bitch. Like, let's talk about me. Like, and then again, like, it's like, well, you can't think about you because like the whole thing is not thinking about you. But I think from like in having lived so long and not done it yet, like there's going to be pros and cons to that. And I think
Mhm.
one of the huge cons is going to be like, yeah, I'm now going to have to go back to like, this is what green is. And like, which is also at the same time, like you said, it'll put you in check. And it is a good thing to remember simplicity in a
Mhm.
way. I think, and just be stoked on like, yeah, I've seen this movie like 600 times, but it's your first time seeing it,
Mhm.
or it's only your 10th time seeing it.
Mhm.
So, so it's like, I
Those are the fun aspects that you get later on. Like, she's 6 now, so like I showed her Harry and the Hendersons and like all these movies like Edward Scissorhands, things that I grew up on, and she's still too young. But like, I'm forcing that. I'm like, look, it's fun. All that stuff happens later. And one thing that you mentioned is like, are you going to be okay? I all I can say to you is you can't think like that, because that thought runs through my mind every single day, all day long. Like, I am 350 pounds. I am not light. I am overweight. I am morbidly obese. My heart could stop at any second.
Harry as well, but
And so, like, those things will plague you. There is a lot of there's a lot of thoughts, and it could just be me. I don't know, if there's somebody out there that also has these thoughts,
it's
feel
gotta
free. But like,
gotta be more people.
not only like the death factor, but like, again, like the failure, like, I should be able to give them more. Like this child did not ask to be here. I brought it here with a whole, and then and then
You have to bleep that part.
we'll see. We'll see how I feel when I'm editing it. Um, and then like you want to give it the world. Like you want it to have everything. And that's not feasible. We're not rich men. We do okay. Like, but when she says, I want the swing set that's 2 grand, and you're like, I've got $50 to last me until next week, that's going to hurt you.
That's when
And
you're in the public part.
yeah, yeah, I mean, but like
You make do,
the
in other words. Like, you know what I mean?
right, right. And I remember making do, like our parents made
Oh yeah.
do. So like it's okay. It's something that everybody has to do except for like the 1% or whatever. But like you're still going to have those feelings. And then so you've got the death creeping around the corner at any second. You've got the failure, and then you've also got the aspect of protection.
Yeah.
My child has no idea how horrible this world is. And there are evils out to get her 24 hours a day, and it's my job to protect her. So when I'm in a store with her and she takes off running and I snap at her because she got too far away, she doesn't understand. And I have a very big rule of not lying to my daughter, but there are things that I can't tell her yet. And so there's that, like there's death, failure, and protection at all times. And all those, it just runs through your head in a cycle, and it's all day long. If I can't look at her, I'm wondering if she's okay.
Yeah.
So like I know I'm not selling parenthood very well, but also this is real, and this is something nobody really talks about.
I think, but I mean, I think what you're talking about though is the like the essence of parenthood. Like essentially, like if you strip it all away, right? Like the core basics, like the primitive basics of parenting are what you're describing. It's this feeling of 24 hours a day, this feeling, like
Mm-hmm.
that feeling just described. And that's why to me, like I don't have that yet. So like hearing that from you, it can sound scary,
Mm-hmm.
like, but listening and watching you talk about it, you look very comfortable talking about it because that's what parenthood is. Like that's what being a father is like that's 100% what it entails for a vast chunk of it. And even like at our age, it still entails that, like on our parents' end. So it is like such this massive undertaking, but luckily it also feels that like there's just some natural shit that just happens. Like it
Yeah,
kind of helps out. Like
there is this like, and like I know I've talked mostly about like the mental fears and stuff like that, but like all that is wiped completely away, and you are completely okay with it when your baby smiles at you. You're like, yeah, no, this is what I was supposed to do. Like that's all there is to it. Like and it's funny because like it's this 24-hour relentless mental torture, and then it can be wiped away by a split-second giggle, and it's like it's all worth it. It's literally the best payment of any job that you will ever have.
yeah, like
Like
that's so sweet coming from like
such a horrible person.
so long that and like so long in a life of addiction where like it's bad all the time and the reward is it getting just you've never been more sexy than you are right now to me, by the way.
Oh,
Drinking that.
just chugging a 2 liter of orange soda. Yeah.
Like, damn, lost my train of thought off that.
I don't know. You were saying something about addiction and like,
Yeah, like coming from a place of addiction where like addiction is like it's bad and like it's bad all the time, and
yeah,
the reward is like either getting worse or just staying bad consistently, right?
right.
And it is going to be nice to be frustrated sometimes for a week straight
Mhm.
and then them do something, cute and it make it all worth it. So like
Mhm.
it's nice to know that the road is paved with like rewards. And like for me and you, like for anyone listening to this and being like, holy like shit, like these people are all like gloom and doom. I think for me and you, like it's always been, well, let's look at the suck side of this situation.
Well,
Like,
like also you got to think about it like this. There are 10 billion blogs about how cute and awesome parenthood is. Nobody's saying what we're saying. Us and Louis C.K. And you can't even reference that fucking guy anymore. So like,
I
you
love
know,
follow up with the York soda. It's amazing.
what?
Follow up with the belch. It's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, like there's tons of information out there about how awesome it is. But then there's nobody going like, what do dads go through? And a mother's perspective is completely different. I've been told many times by many different mothers that there is a connection that fathers don't have with their kids that they will never understand because we didn't grow the baby inside of us. I completely believe that. I
Two
don't
different
know.
perspectives.
Yeah,
Like it's
right, exactly. I can only speak from a father's perspective. So, but there's tons of information out there as to why it's awesome. There's none out there that's just like, yeah, times are about to get real hard.
and
Like,
I don't think that it's none, but it's just that that doesn't sell as well.
well,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
just in general, not in the sphere of like consumerism, that included, but I'm like,
I'm not good at selling things.
yeah, like they just want like you always want, because having children is one of those things where it's like that's what you do in society, that's you doing your part. So no one wants to ever believe and talk about like the bad parts of it, where that's why people who know that they don't want to have kids and then have made the choice that are like, no, I'm not doing this. Like I
Mhm.
think it was what was it, literally the other day Seth Rogen was on something
Mhm.
and had like the amazing response that he had to like, no, I would not be able to be who I am right now if I had to
Yeah,
get, like, there's a whole other thing I didn't do. Like
right.
that prevents people from realizing their full potential. And like I even stutter to say that, but like it's there's such a small percentage of people who will realize their full potential and be a parent.
I think that you just change. I think you reach your full potential by the end. Hopefully, you're given enough time to reach your potential, but I think you just change the direction of your potential. Like somebody who's career driven and, they're the best CEO or whatever, they take all that and put it towards their kid now. All that energy, all that drive, all that motivation goes to their kid now. So they've just changed tracks and they're still, living to their fullest potential, but their priorities are different.
Yeah.
Their goals are different. So I know that, yeah, you didn't come to the right conversation to hear like, a ton of gooey, cute shit. Like,
But that's, and to me that's what makes it so daunting. And like you said something earlier where it was like there's tons of blogs about the mommy blogs and things like that. Like there's a whole industry built off of like that flowery image of
yeah.
like and motherhood. And
Mhm.
like I'm not going to sit here and say with the whole expanse of social media, and we just had like a talk on social media, that there aren't blogs by men and fathers that are talking about exactly what we're talking about
Oh
here.
yeah, I'm sure there are.
But like the thing of it is just like we're so conditioned as men to like like right now, this conversation is the first time I've even thought about being like, oh, the next time I get on Instagram, I should like surf some hashtags related to
Hmm.
like fatherhood and see what
Hmm.
comes up. Like, but I'm so like, come from that, raised from that old guild of man of like, well, I guess I'll just, knock my head against this until I figure it out. Instead of like,
Yeah,
I have a whole world of resources that I could use.
right. And I used fucking zero of those resources. And like one of the things that like I mentioned earlier about not like downloading your traumas, like when I was a younger guy, I was still in high school at some point. My dad is an old tough man and he doesn't play fucking games.
From that old
So
testament.
like I have depression. I have severe depression. It will shut me down. And I remember I would sit in a room in our house that was like a little side room when you walked in the door, and I had a couch in it, and I would sit in that room in the dark for hours. And he would just,
Weird kid, Jake.
yeah, you're weird. You're weird. Stop being lazy. Go do something. No, it's called depression. So like you need to like step your game up. Don't accept those dumb things that you heard. Now, I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm saying he didn't know any better. Like
Because
he
they
didn't.
didn't have depression.
Right, right, right.
Life
And
did.
that's why he told me it's lazy. You're lazy. Get up and go do something. No, I really can't. No, you're just being fucking lazy. Get up. Because that's how it was viewed. So like you got to keep those things in mind. And one of the biggest things that I try to do with my daughter was like I wasn't allowed to talk. When my dad was coming at me with something,
Oh,
my
yeah.
side of the story did not fucking matter. And that was the extent of it. It was the way he said it was going to be. I didn't have a chance to express myself or tell my side of the story. That's one thing I give my daughter. And I start to not, and then she goes, "Hold on, let me explain." And I go, "You
Yeah.
know what? You're right. Go ahead."
Chill.
And I make sure that I see from her side of her view too. So it's this thing where like you gotta learn and build, and you're gonna fall and fail, and it's just, but there's like the goal of raising your kid and watching it grow up, and you're watching a human develop, and you're
Which is
helping it along its way.
so
Like
like
when
it's not a plant in your house, dude. Like
right,
which is a weird thing to say, but like
it kind
you
of is for like the first year and a half because it's not very mobile, so like you can set it down and it'll
yeah,
be there when you get back, but like
exactly.
outside of that, yeah.
But it's like you raise pets as a kid when you're coming up, and it's like when you really think about it, your entire life trains you for this because all you like, well, from
Like
an outside,
yeah, I get to the extent like you have to feed and water it and bathe it
well,
sometimes, like yeah.
you have to teach yourself how to live and survive, and that imparts you to pass that knowledge on. Right
Hmm.
now, there's a whole mountain of stuff that
Hmm.
also is not included in that knowledge, but like
Right.
basically given like all the tools you need and most of the handbook, like maybe it's a few editions old, and you're like you're probably gonna have to fill in some pages in there, but like, and I think what I hear from you and like what I hear from, and I don't want to make a distinguishment of good parents and bad parents. I don't
Right.
want to, but what I say from parents who seem to be more in tune with raising their kid is it's super important to not, like you said, to stop yourself in those moments where you
Hmm.
can recall being in her shoes.
Hmm.
You were a kid. And I think whenever I hear that from somebody, like that's always something, because me not being a parent yet, like I collect things from people because I'm like, well, I'm not doing this yet. I want to, when I see things that I like that people do with their kids, like I want to remember that because that's something that I maybe I can build upon for myself, or maybe I can use or whatever. And
Hmm.
that's always something that comes up is people always reference, well, my parents did this. So
Hmm.
it's important to me to have this type of interaction with my kid this
Hmm.
way. And
Yeah.
I think that's probably the hugest thing that I'm like, this definitely will always be a rule with me, like that way, because you want, my dad has always said, like, I just want you to be better than I am, which, yeah, that's a solid goal to have. Like, if you want to boil it down to its simplest fashions and terms. And
Hmm.
I think I'm to the point now where I'm old enough to understand, to like put myself in my dad's shoes now, because I've surpassed him from when he had me. Like, I'm already older than when he already had two kids by that point.
Hmm.
So it's like a lot of the shit that I've been mad at him for in my life, I'm now kind of like, oh, dude, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it because I don't have two kids.
Right.
But
Right.
like,
Right. Right.
I'm just feeling like I'm getting my shit together, which is like also a whole nother
Hmm.
layer of this onion, because I'm like, I just, it's just getting good.
Hmm.
Like on my own,
Hmm.
I gotta give it up. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But that's, to me, that's the landing strip. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? The path is clear. Like,
Hmm.
so like there are two roads. Like, yeah, I can fuck off and keep doing what I'm doing,
Hmm.
but like, I ain't gonna be no celebrity. And not to say that like if I were, that would change my path, but like I am looking forward, as much as we've talked about a lot of the bad, like I am looking forward to the tons of good and like what it's going to do to change me in a positive way,
Hmm.
because there's been a huge change like in you. Like,
Yeah. I mean, responsibility alone.
yeah,
Like
responsibility of like,
I before her, I had no responsibility. Like
we did like we
eh, we
yeah,
went we went to we went to work sometimes. Like that was like our responsibility. It's a
we had a
whole new,
responsibility to the party, man.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But like that was remember that time we played our rap song at the party and we're like, if nobody notices, then it's a good song. That was, yeah. Anyways, but like that was like responsibility changes because every decision you make affects them. I don't know how many times I've gone, nah, I can't run my mouth or get into a fight because I can't go to jail because she needs me. Nah, I can't steal that candy bar because I can't go to jail because she needs me. Nah, I can't leave work an hour early because I need that extra money because she might want to go roller skating. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
every
definitely
little thing becomes about them and you no longer exist. You're
yeah
just a like
thing.
yeah, you're just a thing that like you're the ATM, you're the source of comfort and like dude, it is heartbreak and like my anger has always been a thing, but I don't have much anymore because I see like how lucky I am to have her. So like, but the one thing that will set me off so fast is when she's in pain. If
Mm.
she's in pain or hurt or sick, I will rip anybody's head off because it's this
She's an
sense.
in she's a part of you that's from the inside. Like,
Well,
so
it's this sense of helplessness that you'll never. I can only speak for me. I've never felt that helpless in any of the situations that I've been in. I've never felt so helpless as when I can't take her pain from her or I can't take her sickness from her that's making her sad or upset or hurt or in pain. Like that helplessness is enraging. Like it can light up neighborhoods with the amount of energy that runs through you. Like it's insane. Like the extremes of the feelings, like with addiction, we chase those good feelings. And with kids, you're going to get them with so, like, you'll go, holy shit, I should have had 12 by the time I was
oh.
20 because this the extremes of emotions that you get. Like you will never feel like I don't care what drug you do, you'll never be happier than when your kid is happy and like your kid is laughing, and you'll never be more proud. I don't care what you accomplish than when you teach your kid to read for the first time, or you teach your kid to tie your shoes, or whatever the case is. Like the extreme and anger, they will push your buttons in a way that like you're just like, I didn't know that this was possible. Like I thought I had felt everything, but there is a new level to every emotion that you have ever felt.
Okay.
um yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's literally life's greatest adventure, but there's a lot of real shit that goes into it that you gotta take into factor with it.
Yeah. And I'm also like talking about it like I'm going to like also have the same problems and issues that I have now. Like there's gonna be like I'm really gonna see like how many problems and issues that I have like were ones that it was just shit that I was hanging on to because I'm gonna have to make room
Mhm,
for so much more
mhm,
like mentally. It's gonna be like, why was I worried about that, whatever that thing was, or looking that way, or
mhm.
hanging out with those people, or whatever it is? Like, and I'm not thinking like that stuff isn't going to be there. Like it's going to be replaced with so much more good and bad and strange and weird and exciting and adventurous.
But like you mentioned, like all these things that you're concerned with now, like that Harry Potter game, Lord of the Rings, whatever the
Oh
fuck you were just talking about. That should not, you see that little pink thing under my TV over there? That's PlayStation 4. I don't give a fuck about PlayStation 5.
yeah.
I haven't turned that goddamn thing on in months. You know what that gets used for? My daughter plays Minecraft. That's it. Like I have games, I don't play them anymore because you're too mentally exhausted, and like your focus is elsewhere. Like the all those things that used to be concerning, like when I got out of my marriage, I was angry. I hated my ex-wife. I don't give shit now. It took a long time, but like it it doesn't matter. Like that doesn't matter. The My daughter matters. That's it. Like all these things that you'll start to look back and go, wow, I went super wrong there. Wow, that was petty. That really
Right.
doesn't matter. Why did it bother me so much? I should figure that out when I got time. And then you don't have time and you never will. Um, it just it goes like this, and it's it's a tough it's a tough thing to you know adjust to. But I think that once you make the adjustment and then you see the good things that come from it, and like because there's a lot of the good thing. Like one of my favorite things is like my daughter thinks I'm strong as fuck, and I'm not. Like I'm not. Like I can open a jar and she's like, "Holy shit, you're so strong." I'm like, "I know, right?" And she thinks I know everything. She thinks I'm fucking Google, and I don't know dick. So like it's like all these little fun things, and um all that, like once you get into these grooves and you start getting those little endorphin rushes from interactions like that. And she thinks I can read her mind because I can tell when she's done something that she tried to hide from me. All those little things, and all the concerns too. Like once you get into these and you start realizing like one of the biggest things for me is like trying to balance go be a kid and no, that's fucking dangerous. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like that for me is like a fine line to walk.
And
And
also
I'm
like super hard for people like us to, I mean, the shit we did, like,
right.
I used to throw
Yeah,
myself downstairs for fun. Like
yeah, yeah,
we used to jump out of vans while they were moving for fun. Like,
yeah,
so how am I gonna sit there and be like, yo, like don't hey, like don't go to that top part of the play place. Like, can you
yeah,
just stay at this part? Like
yeah.
and I guess like that's gonna be where it gets also kind of silly and fun too, because everything that you were a rebel about, you're then gonna have to deal with on probably a way worse level because it's coming from you. So it'll be
No,
have
no,
demon spawn. Like
no truer words have ever been spoken. I don't know if your pop said this to you, but mine surely did when I was younger, was you'll understand when you have your own. And it's like all at once, all at once, dude. Like it all just comes rushing into your head, and you sit there and like she's on the jungle gym upside down, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god, can you be careful, please? Like, don't do shit, don't do dumb things. Like you could break your like, and it always is worst case scenario. Like don't do that because you're going to break your neck and then you'll be paralyzed. Do you know what a paraplegic is? Let me tell you about it. And you're like, whoa, that kid's 6. And no, like, go do that. Like, go do that. You're fine. Like, it's not like it's crazy what it does to you mentally, but there's so much good wrapped up in like, it's funny because like I've said so many negative things like about the emotions and the concerns and everything, and they're big broad topics in life, but at the same time they become like this big, because though they're always there, they're very very quiet compared to all the good stuff that comes along. Like everything, like you're teaching your child everything, and
this is wild.
it's
Like you
it's
said
crazy.
for Google. Like
Yeah,
and you're I mean you're essentially for quite a while you're pretty much a god. Like you're the strongest, you're the smartest, you're the fastest.
yeah,
Like
and
you're
I'm none of those things. So
but
like,
you are, so that's all that matters. Like
right, and so yeah, it's a perspective thing.
yeah,
um but yeah, it's I don't know, I mean, you know, obviously, if you do end up deciding to have kids and you need somebody to talk to, obviously I'll be there, obviously I'll help you, we can raise our kids together. But this is a conversation that I never had, and it gave me horrible anxiety when it all came rushing in. And I think that a lot of it will be, I think some of it will be easier for you because you will have Ashley, and that's a partnership, that's a team that's working together. I didn't have that. Even when I was in my marriage, I didn't have that, and I still don't really have that now. So like that on top of understanding and being prepared, because though my dad told me you'll understand when you have your own, he didn't write any details down. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like he didn't, there was no like, let me outline what the fuck's about to happen to you. So I learned it all firsthand in the shit. And that's how I learned best anyways. But you know, it should be a smoother transition for you. You can go, like you can think and go, well, I know that's going to happen. Like you're a very intelligent person, like you can think logically, like, okay, like, this and that, like this is why this is happening. They don't understand, let me take the time. As where like I had to learn to not fly off the fucking rocker because I'm angry because I don't understand why she can't understand it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that you're better equipped to make a smoother transition into it than I did, because mine came like, whoops, and here you go. I'm out. Like, so like it, like, I think that you'll be just fine. Like, and like I said, you're a smart enough person to know. when when things are when you're getting over emotional or overthinking things. I think that you'll know, like, nah, this isn't a concern for right now. Like, this is something that's I'll have to deal with when I get time, when they're like out of the house. I'll
Yeah.
re-examine whatever this emotion is. But it's crazy. It's fun. And is some like us with our addictions, like even those will ease. Like, it will push you on both ends, but you won't have time to think like, man, I miss this, and man, I miss that. You'll be so focused on that like that will just become like a faint.
Faint noise in the
Yeah,
background.
exactly. But then also there will be times where you're so upset and so stressed that you're like, damn, I'd like a drink. And
Yeah,
then you go, but like instantaneously you go, how's that going to affect this?
exactly.
Because this is the important
That
thing.
parent part is going to kick in,
Hmm.
and it's like too, like and for me, like where I'm at with it is this, right? Like for you always focus on the negative of things, but it's like for every negative that we've mentioned, like in the opposite direction, there's a positive.
Hmm.
So like that's been now that I've like had a conversation to kind of like start organizing these thoughts, like you just have to kind of walk that middle road of understanding like I have to look at whatever the situation is that comes to me with this from multiple angles and from multiple sides.
Hmm.
And I'm not always going to know immediately what angle to look at it from. I'm not always going to know immediately how to handle it, like, or whatever it looks like. And that's okay. Like that's perfectly fine as long as your heart's in the right place and you're trying to stay intelligent around what am I passing along to
Hmm.
you? What
Hmm.
what do I want to pass along to you? What don't I want you to pass don't I want to pass along to you? What do I want you to be a little bit better equipped for? But also understanding like, yo, you might be asleep in class that day. And later on, I'm gonna have to learn to watch you make mistakes too.
Hmm.
Which and I mean that's a whole part that like even you haven't even gotten to yet.
Hmm.
Like, where the mistakes are, you know.
Bro, I have a girl. Like, that is a whole, like, parenting. So like, I know a lot of parents, and I'm probably going to catch shit for this. I know a lot of parents are like, you should parent your children equally. No, I'm my daughter is a princess, and she won't even know that boys exist until she's 30. And if I had a boy, I would smack him upside the head every time he did something stupid and tell him to grow the fuck up. Like, that's how it was presented to me. And that's how I think about it. But I have a girl. All the things that I'm going to have to deal with, all the bail money my friends are going to have to spend, like, it's going to be astronomical.
we
Like,
will have we will have to spend bail money, that is for sure.
yeah,
I've already started my fund for you.
I appreciate it. Donate to our Patreon because
It's actually probably a good idea for all of us.
yeah, yeah, we should just get a
Everybody
Fredericksburg's
just
fucking,
assign somebody a bail buddy. And
yeah, bail buddy. Yeah,
at all times, you need to have X amount of dollars set aside.
right.
This person acts a
Yeah.
fool.
They
This
didn't tell you that part of growing up was the reason you buy houses is so you could leverage them to get your friends out of jail. Like,
nobody. Give him a call.
yeah, bail buddy, just a phone call away.
Well, I think I really appreciate this conversation. I think this is one of the my definitely my favorite since the first one we've done, and
Yeah.
it's actually helped me a lot, like hearing you talk about fatherhood and like knowing that like okay, like it's okay to be scared, but like there is good aspects of it, and like
Yeah. I mean, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be overwhelmed. It's okay to break down and cry when you put your kid to bed because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I mean, there's been times where I don't know where my next dollar's coming from. And, it concerns the shit out of me and I don't sleep for days. Like all those things. But as long as you get up, you love them, you hug them, you tell them that you love them, and you show them that everything you do is for them, then everything's going to be okay. They might not get it now, but hopefully, you live long enough to see them realize it and appreciate it. And for every negative, one giggle out of my daughter wipes it all away. It resets my energy bar to just let's go, let's do it again. Like I've got this little person counting on me, so nothing's going to stop me, and I refuse to fail because she needs me, and that's all there is. Like it's funny how concerned we can be with these emotions and these thoughts about things and how insignificant they really are when it comes down to it. It's just it's mind-blowing and eye-opening to be like I gave a shit about this. Like I was worried that my car wasn't cool enough. Like, does the shit run? All right, cool. That's all I need. Like, all those little things that you used to care about ain't gonna fucking matter, man.
Well, I do appreciate you, my friend. I love
Yep.
you.
Always love you too, buddy.
Amazing father, buddy.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. Well, before this gets so weird,
Do we make out now or
I no, maybe later. I could probably pencil you
I
in.
mean I can bring the orange soda.
All right. Yes. Yeah. Bring that.
Hell
Father.
yeah.
All right.
All right, man. Peace.